Then we. Well, good evening. This is September 8th, and it is the first Astro Cafe of the 2025-2026 season. We have survived the long, hard summer, and we can get back to the real life. Yay! My name is Randy Enkin. I am past president of the Victoria Centre of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and I will be our host today. So, things that I know are happening. Do we have Dan here tonight? No. Anyway, I'm going to put up his letter because it's a really good introduction to talking about the summer. And then I'm hoping, oh, more quickies. I'm hoping that people will contribute items about what's happened over the last 3 months. Yeah, is it 4 or 3? It's 3. Okay. And then we're going to talk a bit about Astro Cafe hosting. David Prudhomme is going to show off that very pretty telescope behind him. Is David Payne here? I don't see him. Yeah. Oh, he's there.
Here. Hi.
Can you give a teaser about your talk next week?
This week.
This week. Not yet. Not yet. I'm just asking you for later on.
Sure.
Just to make sure that everybody who's available on Wednesday goes. Peter Norman, I saw him there, sent some images in. Anybody else have stuff to bring up tonight? And then I'm going to talk about the green flash. David Lee, what's up, David?
Oh, what? Oh, just an observation of all the different things that happened during the summer that I was involved in.
Right, that's on. Okay, and then Les, you have something to bring up.
I'll report on the Saskatchewan Summer Star Party.
Fantastic. Okay.
Brian Chappell had something.
Brian Chappell. Where is Brian Chappell? Right there.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I was just, in case anyone wanted to see it, I got this afocal adapter for to put my point and shoot camera on a telescope.
Okay. Well, I'll fit you in, Brian. That's great. Do I know you?
We met at the Star Party.
Okay, welcome. And then Brock has a hand up.
Yeah, I have, if we have a bit of time at the end, I got a couple of pictures I could actually share.
Okay, well, that's great because you'll do it around when Peter Norman shows his. Great. So let us start with people who have not been to the Astro Cafe before. And I think that includes Brian Chappell. Have you been to this event before?
I've been to a few, yes.
Okay. Well, welcome. And do you want to say anything about what sort of astronomy you like to do and what's your astro history?
Oh, I've been a member of the RASC on and off since I was 15 or so that's more than 50 years. No, like I said, I drift in and out, and I was quite inspired by the Star Party. It's the first one I've been to in a few years, and seeing all that impressive hardware, and I thought, well, maybe I should finally take a photo. And so I'm not going to go buying any dedicated cameras or anything, and my only SLR still has film in it. But I recently got, just arrived yesterday actually, is this gadget from Celestron. It lets you use afocal projection, I guess they call it, on a telescope. And I was kind of hesitant. I thought it might be kind of a flimsy, gimmicky thing, but it's actually quite robust. And it's got this XY track here to position the camera lens right behind an eyepiece, and it's got this kind of hexagonal clamp thing that actually clamps right on the eyepiece. I always wondered how they actually did that. And so or all I've taken a photo of, like I was just doing this afternoon, of Mount Tuam on Salt Spring Island. So yeah, I might hopefully this week at least get a photo of the moon out of it. And the camera I'm using, this is an Olympus TG6. It's popular as an underwater camera, and other than some testing, I've never actually used it above water before. So this should let me point it up. But the camera's got way more capabilities than I realized at all. So this could be my cheap entry into astrophotography. And the thing, I got it off Amazon. I think it was only about $100. So yeah, it's crude, but it might even be effective.
There's
And
no reason you can't
so,
stack photos taken this way. You know,
pardon me?
there's no reason that you can't stack photos. Take a video in there or take lots of photos and you can just use the free stacking software. You can do some really good stuff with that.
I have been looking into that, just seeing what's out there. I mean, I only heard passing mention of some of these things, Regis Stacks or whatever it's called, and a few others, but now I might have to pay attention.
There's lots of YouTube.
I have used Pix Insight to postcast underwater pictures, diving pictures.
Mhm.
Wow.
It works nice.
Oh,
David Prudhomme. Kathy's here.
Yeah, that is me. Thank you for having me here. This is my first one. I've been on the island. I moved here from Edmonton in about 2007. I was very active in the telescope that I'm going to talk about was my first telescope, which was a big mistake because I should have learned the sky with binoculars first and such. I spent a lot of time, but it did get me my Messier certificate. And since we moved here, I'm actually very close to where the Wesley Ridge fire was. We were evacuated. And I'm right below it, half a kilometer up there were the flames. So I'm not in the best position for really deep sky astronomy anymore. Plus, it is a bit of a brute, but I've been trying to get back into it. So over the summer, I was doing some public solar observing with my little ETX 90. And unfortunately, one of the tripod legs gave out and it went crashing down. So that gave me the incentive to buy myself a little Celestron SE8. And this one is just too much of a brute for me to use anymore. So I would hopefully like to find it a good home. But yeah, I said earlier before the meeting started, I've been teaching for Elder College for 15 years now. And my most popular course is Introduction to the Night Skies, which is a general public overview of what's up there.
So you're moving from a 10-inch Schmid Cassegrain to an 8-inch.
That's correct.
It's still pretty big there, David.
It is. It'll be a nice scope, but where I am, it's just the ETX 90 was not quite powerful enough, and I wasn't really enjoying using it as much.
Okay.
So I decided I'd like to get back into astronomy, and I just didn't set
I
that one.
think you were saying you
decided
were
to
going
go
to
for
go
it.
to a 3-inch Maxitov or something, but you've downsized to an 8-inch. That's
The ironic part of it I have to share with you is I ordered it right after my other one crashed, and it was delivered on Wednesday, just at the end of July, and I opened it and had a look at it. And Thursday morning, the fire broke out and we were evacuated on a Friday. So it hasn't been used yet.
it was your fault.
Yep.
Ben Spiller, your name's up there.
Yeah, I just missed the point. I just have a little something to contribute later. You can put me on the list. It's a little bit of pop culture that I just discovered today
Oh,
that we
fun.
should be aware of, that someone is supporting us.
Okay, we'll I'll fit you in. Okay,
Thanks.
so now, is there anybody else who's new who would like to say hello?
Oh, Peter.
Which
Peter?
case?
I think Peter waved his
Peter.
hand.
Peter's hand is up. Excellent.
Yeah, well, I only waved.
He
Okay.
waved.
I mean, I'm such a newbie, they don't even have a category for me yet.
Well, I'm glad that you're here then.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be here. Yeah, and it's I'm just newly back to space exploration and just fascinated by the cosmos as I was when I was very young, and now back to it now in my 70s, and I've been capturing deep sky objects and nebula out my backyard here with nothing more than a C-star S30. And I'm just so thankful. What I realized when I started looking at the pictures that I was pulling off of that little smart telescope, all 30 millimeter of the lens, was that every picture I've ever seen of astrophotography obviously has been post-processed. And so I started post-processing the ones that I've been getting. And Randy, I sent you a few today.
Yeah,
Amazing.
really good.
I have a postage sized view of the sky outside of my house here. And I've captured dozens of images and put them through PixInsight and Grax Zero and come out with some amazing images that were not the originals off the camera, but what you can do with what you pull off the camera as you process them and draw out the beauty that's there, but is not quite as well seen. So
Cool. Wonderful. I'm going to share my screen. Share. I remember how to do this.
a good thing you do, I don't.
Okay. So this is victoria.rasc.ca, and it's going to be one of the discussion points tonight. I want to talk a bit about doing more to populate our website. And just for now, first of all, the top thing that you see there is David Prudhomme's telescope. But then the next one is the president's message. And I just want everybody to know that it is here. And, I'm not going to read it out, but what he does is he goes through our wonderful summer. It's been a very eventful summer, talking about the star parties up with the Friends of the DAO up at the center of the universe, and about our star party on, what was it, August 22nd. And then there was the Saanich Fair, and his pictures on the 72-inch, the plasket. So it's a great letter. And I just want that to be our introduction to talking about what we did this summer. So I'm going to just kind of use this as the outline. And so is there anybody who wants to talk about the star parties up at the center of the universe? We don't have Lori tonight. Her sister arrived.
Yeah, I could probably chime in there.
Great.
There were quite a number of star parties. I kind of shared the parking lot with quite a number of people this summer, especially with Scott Mayer. I don't think Scott's here, but we had a nice banter of dueling telescopes that that we never really rehearsed, but just evolved over time. Alex, of course, was there, and quite a number of other scopes as well. But I do remember some really nice situations. Like we had lots of opportunities to look at the moon. So that was really exciting. And I remember Scott pointing out a crater with a little kind of a pinnacle in the center. I can't remember where it was, but it was quite remarkable, actually. And we did that. We saw Saturn this summer. We watched all sorts of extremely red moons pop out because of the forest fires. And we saw quite a number of suns descend into the hillside. That's kind of one of my favorite things to show people through the solar filter, the sun actually descending into the distant hills, because it's quite dramatic. It produces this beautiful globe with trees in front of it. And when it gets to the very, very last spot, all the trees are kind of rimlit, which is quite beautiful. So yeah, there's quite a number of people, a lot of people really interested in the night sky.
Was it sold out every time?
Pretty well, pretty well. I would say pretty well. And even on the nights that weren't clear, there were people up there. So there's a clearly an interest in the topic. So
And did we have enough people volunteering at our desk? Did Melissa
no,
have
no,
enough
we didn't.
people?
No, we didn't. Unfortunately, but we had plenty of people out on the parking lot.
Okay, so that is a big issue.
Hmm.
That and the next star party is on the 13th, I believe.
Yeah.
And Melissa did ask me to ask people to volunteer with their telescopes, but also to staff the desk up there. Okay, and you can contact Melissa directly, or you can send it through me, pastprez@victoria.rasc.ca. But we do need people, and it's fun. You know, it's a good thing. So it's now gone to once a month for the rest of the year until it starts in June again, probably every couple of weeks. Okay, the next event I think would be the Star Party, and I'll talk about that. It was beautiful clear skies. We had something like 50 people at the talks, and so it was probably something like 75 people total, 150 over the weekend. It was very cozy. I thought the first talk, the speakers were very interesting, but it wasn't particularly astronomical. And I think that's something, as the person who invited them, I should have kind of, there were red flags before the actual talk. It was not going to be very astronomical. So that was an issue, but then the next night with John Willis on the gravitational lensing was spectacular. And he's a very good speaker and very engaging. And I thought that was just wonderful. And then the sky performed very well for us. And did anybody have any photos they want to share from taking during the star party?
I think there may be some on Zenfolio. I sort of recall.
Yeah, there certainly are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would say booming success, and I have given 2 dates to the church for next year. One will have a very thin crescent moon, and the other one has a kind of a gibbous moon, but either way, they're both acceptable. The moon sets before it gets too dark, so those of you like your white fuzzies will do okay. And so she's going to look at the schedule, but I think there's every reason to continue at that church, especially since there's a beautiful place if it gets rainy for us to go. That's one of the things that since we've gone back, we haven't had to worry.
It gets hot.
Photos from Joe. Isn't he awesome? Okay, let's just pull that up for a quick view. Zoom, share, screen, share. Okay, this is Chris Gainor brought a what's it called? With one of those auto telescopes.
Unistellar. Smart telescope, right?
Are you gonna talk, Chris?
Yes, it's well, there was a photo of the Unistellar that I took in Dan's column there. I saw, and then I was also testing out my new fancy iPhone 16, and so that's what you have on the screen right now. seeing how it performed in the skies we had that evening. And
That was a handheld picture?
it's not a handheld picture because I mounted it on a tripod.
Still, for a smartphone, that's really good.
Yes. So
And this was my photo.
yeah.
So at 5 in the morning, I was with Alex, and for some reason, we were the only people that were up then. It was really good. Anyway, you can see Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury all shining beautifully. The eye is a bit better than the camera, so I did have to process this a bit in order to see all three. And this picture, who took this one?
I did.
So that was so freaky, seeing that go across the sky.
So that is a handheld photo. You know, I wasn't planning to take a photo at that particular moment. And then that train came over and I said, oh God, I got to give it a shot. And so I just pulled my phone out and got a couple of different pictures, but that was the most interesting one.
My photo of it was awful, so well done.
What is that?
Starlink.
Starlink satellites.
Wow. Wow.
And
It was amazing. Like the whole yard, everybody said, look at that.
and they were like the brightest objects in the sky, you know, a whole string of them.
Okay, there's a picture that Kevin got too, but it looks like a longer exposure, so it just looks like a line. You can't see the individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we made so much noise that a neighbor heard us and came to the star party after that. Because we were all hooting and hollering.
That's good.
And they gave us $20.
When was this?
It was on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night.
It was while Jill and Brenda were doing the introduction to the sky. And we all took a pause to look up. It was spectacular. And then, oh my, there is a nice Andromeda. Who took that?
Oh, Megan.
Megan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Megan.
wow. So a thing that I didn't know about Megan is it's a partnership. Her sweetie has done all of the robotics and programming to make it possible for her to do these amazing astrophotos. Is Megan here? No.
But it is quite amazing, Randy, because rather than having a traditional commercial mount, I think Megan's partner actually 3D printed their mount, and he did all the robotics behind it.
No, I've asked them to do a Astro Cafe talk. It is really a spectacular set of the whole package, and then she does this amazing processing.
Yeah.
That's quite wonderful. Thank you for getting that compiled for us. And then there'll be a bunch of pictures of the actual star party. Is it going to be easy to find there, Joe? Or if I go home, it'll be one of the recent ones, right? Island Star Party. There we go. So I'm just going to zip along showing these photos without much commentary. But there's one photo of importance. That's the Diane Bell blanket, which is getting good use. That's that train.
This is the train, and the train came by around 9:45. I was just looking up the time on that, so.
Anyway, there's one picture in particular that I want to show off because it is an important event.
not that much too late.
Where is it? I'm going to tell you what it is in case I don't see the picture, is of Chris and Lori handing David his Distinguished Service Award.
That was at the beginning, Randy.
Oh, it was at the beginning? We already saw it?
Yeah.
So, great. I will go back. But Chris, I'd love you to talk about giving
Citation.
the citation. Thank you. That's the word.
Yes, well, we are actually one of the centers that is not that active in giving out these awards, and I think there's a few more people around. But anyway, Lori and I, we think about this, late in the year when the deadline comes up for these things, and I just thought, somebody for whom there was a screaming merit, I guess, for such an award was David, and one of our most senior members. I mean, when I first came to Victoria, there was David, and he's done all sorts of things on the executive and also at the national level. He was the national guy before me, so I just thought that was a really open and shut case, and so we got to work on it, and we're able to present it to David at the Star Party.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for, is it 40 years? Is that what?
It's a long time. I think my inaugural date is 94, actually.
94.
Yeah,
Only-
it's been a long
Only 30
time.
years. Okay.
Yeah.
30 years, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, very good. Next, I would love it if somebody would talk about the Saanich Fair, because we don't have Lori here. Who feels qualified to talk about that triumph of our volunteer base? Marji, would you talk about it?
Sure. I don't know any numbers, but it was certainly successful. There were lots and lots and lots of people who entered their names into the telescope draw. And I was there Sunday afternoon with Moira, and we were busy all the time. And next to us was the FDAO table, and they were busy all the time. So that telescope draw is that is a large draw to the table. And then of course, once they come to the table, then we have all sorts of wonderful things that we can tell people. So it was, Lori has the statistics, but just from working there on Sunday afternoon, volunteering on Sunday afternoon, it was an extremely successful event.
I think we're saying about 500 a day, which is, it makes it by far our biggest event of the year.
I think on average that's pretty accurate, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, the weather wasn't totally cooperative, but we certainly had enough sunlight hours to do a lot of solar viewing.
The one more thing from this summer is Saskatchewan. Les, are you in the picture?
I don't know. No. Probably not.
Why don't you come over here? There's a seat next to Kevin, and you can tell us what happened. And how long is Saskatchewan been going? I'm
sorry?
That is a very venerable party, isn't it?
Yes, this was the 27th Saskatchewan Summer Star Party. It is held in the Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park, which is at an elevation which is the highest elevation between the Rockies and the Laurentian Mountains.
Oh.
Beautiful site. basically the registrants. There were 300 registrants, a little down from last year, 315 last year. But this year, the skies were stupendous. 4 nights that I was there. And there were many talks given, and there was a telescope walk for the numerous telescopes that were out around the campsite. One of the highlights of the event was an unveiling of a new sign commemorating the discovery of Comet Petru in 1998, I believe it was. Vance Petru was the discoverer, and he discovered it from the Star Party.
Awesome.
And he's one of 8 Canadians who've discovered a comet. It was a significant fundraising effort to make this sign. It was a $6,000 sign plus in-kind support. So it's much more prominent than the old cairn that used to be there that had fallen into disrepair. So that event helped propel the Star Party into a larger occasion, and it also resulted in several dark sky preserves in Saskatchewan and perhaps beyond, because Saskatchewan had early large dark sky preserves, including the Cypress Hills Park itself. So I don't have any pictures though, so
that's okay. That's great. 300 people though.
Yeah. So a little smaller than normal, but it was a good event, and it's wonderful seeing. I think this was my 16th or 17th time there.
Awesome.
And it's wonderful seeing all the regulars, because there are a huge number of regulars as well as new people, a bunch of Americans that come as well, and the skies were just stunning. And so I would encourage anybody who might be interested in traveling to Saskatchewan, which is not a common thing to be interested in, but if you are, I can tell you more and show you more about what it's about.
Was there any wildfire smoke?
No, last year we had wildfire smoke. This year there was none. And so skies were very transparent and almost all the time clear. There was one evening there was thunderstorms in the early evening, and the Tuesday before there were some very strong lightning displays on the Tuesday evening before the Star Party started. But otherwise it was clear and just superb.
Awesome. Thank you. I see David Prudhomme up there.
Yeah, I'll make a comment on that. The Star Party was interesting. I was actually on the field, and I left the field 15 minutes before Vance Petru saw the comet. We were there for the first 10. At the 10th anniversary, they gave out pins to the 14 people who had been to all 10 parties. My wife, myself, and one of our dear friends were 3 of those. But yes, I can say it's a great Star Party.
Thank you for that. That's super.
And if I may add, it's a great place. Saskatchewan. I've lived in 7 provinces, and Saskatchewan was one of my favorites. I spent several years there. And when my wife was alive, she just loved what they call the big sky country.
Yeah.
And I tell you, if you're a stargazer, that's where you want to be, because you can see the sky in every direction. And you're not blocked by trees or mountains or anything else, because it's just flat land and the sky is yours to behold.
Chris.
Hi, I just managed to capture the picture, if you'd like to see it, of the new award, the monument.
Oh, please.
Let's see if that works. Did that show up?
Oh,
Yes.
Look at that.
Can you zoom in on that?
There we are.
Comet
Petru.
Petru. Okay.
So it's made of several layers of steel and aluminum. So it's quite an elaborate sign.
It'll be there for a while.
Yeah, it looks like it should last a while. So
it should last longer than Comet Petru, maybe.
Or maybe any of us.
Okay, and then still in the topic of events, David Payne, why don't you tell us about why should people come on Wednesday to see your talk? I'm really keen to hear about what friction in galaxies. Is that it?
What is the title? How friction creates a galaxy spirals.
That is cool. Tell us about it.
It was carefully chosen wording to be as controversial as possible.
Yay.
So I guess what it's about now, it's all about science, but I use a lot of analogs and I use a lot of common references. So it shouldn't be very difficult to understand because sometimes I am. But it's controversial. And I'm going to read a quote from Richard Feynman, who said, "The most remarkable discovery in all of astronomy is that the stars are made of atoms of the same kind as those on the Earth. And yet, if it's the same stuff, why is it so different in space?" Right? Like the scale and things can get less dense and more dense and all kinds of things like that. And there's the conventional story that we all get told of what this thing is. And it's a little bit of politeness and consensus at work, because when you delve into papers, you see that the actual belief of what's going on varies quite a bit, even within astronomers. But they do like to paint a consistent face to us. And it's kind of like when you're watching a documentary or the news and the commentator or the presenter says something that you know a lot about, and what they say is not necessarily false, but not quite accurate. And then you start to question all the conventional things that same announcer or that same presenter has told you about everything else that you don't know about. And I kind of took that approach as an outsider, as a scientist, but from a very different field. I kind of started collecting what I call unicorns. And these are things that, well, if it's the same stuff as down here on Earth, why is this a unicorn? Is this a made up thing that you're using to explain something? And I like to distinguish between unicorns and what I call black swans. And a black swan is something that you didn't know existed, and someone told you existed or might exist or not, but then you find one in reality. And afterwards you say, of course, that's the way it works. How could it possibly work?
I love that.
Another way. Of course, there are black swans. No one thought there were black swans. A swan was described as a white bird until someone found a black swan. I think it's Australia they live. But anyway.
Dave, that sounds so good. And I have to tell you, it happens a billion times in any scientist's life, of saying, once they understand it, then it's saying, of course. But until then, goes against the grain of the community. That sounds like a great talk.
So
and
hopefully there'll be some black swan moments.
Will anybody talk about timing and location? Alex, why don't you talk about where do people meet when for the meeting? What room and parking?
8104 Bob White. So it must be 7 p.m. I believe.
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah. Usually 47 stuff.
Okay, so it's in the big lecture or the little lecture hall there?
The lecture A1,
The big
usual, the usual one.
Okay. And then afterwards, what happens?
You go up to the Elliott on the fourth floor.
And what happens there?
Where you find out if there's a pie there or not.
Okay, great.
Yes, okay.
So hope to see you there.
Yes. I hope you have a nice crowd. Okay. So I think we've done enough informal talk, and I feel like doing my formal talk.
Randy,
Yeah?
could I mention the other events that happened during the summer?
Oh, please, please, please.
Okay. I kind of made a list of some of these, and I hope Reg will chime in. So during the summer, this is mainly for the beginners group, but we had quite a number of pop-up cattle point observing sessions. So that was quite fun. I think I remember there were quite a number of people from the beginners group that showed up. So we got to see the Milky Way, the Teapot, Scorpio, and such. And Reg, can you talk a little bit about the VCO? We had quite a number of VCO sessions as well.
Sure. At the VCO, we had 17 sessions so far this year.
Wow.
And last year we had 10 in all. And we had really terrific smoke-free skies throughout most of the summer. And even if we had to wait until 11 or 11:30 for darkness to fall, a lot of people came up, and we had a great time observing the heavens, enjoying fellowship. And for some of us, we did some astrophotography until about 2 or 3 in the morning, using the scope up at the VCO. And we are looking forward to going back up there, but then smoke showed up, and we haven't had a good shot at it lately. So if there is another session, it'll be announced on the active observers HillObs distribution list. And as soon as things are looking promising, and that comes along, please join us up there. Have a great time.
That's fantastic.
Great. Thanks, Reg.
To all the people who have put so much effort into making that place work. That's awesome.
So I have a couple of other items. I'm just going to show you some early morning astronomy. I spent for a couple of weeks, I spent chasing Venus and Jupiter. So I'll just share my screen. So this is just from my neighborhood, actually. I didn't want to go anywhere because I wasn't quite sure. Most of the time, the weather wasn't very good. So I basically caught these just before dawn, and then also through a lot of cloud, actually. So I saw them approach and get very close, and then I got this shot. This is when they were less than a degree apart, and you can actually see the moons of Jupiter there in the inset. Later on in the month, I don't know why I took this, but I actually sat through.
I asked you to.
Oh, that's right. You asked me to. Anyways, I sat in my driveway through mostly this, and then miraculously everything cleared, and then I got Venus and Jupiter and the crescent moon. So that was my little adventure. This is over the course of like a couple of weeks or something like that. So a lot of fun. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just got a few other items here. During the summer, Dan Posey sent a letter to me indicating that somebody had requested a collaboration with us, like with the RASC. And that happened to be the Variable Star Group down in the States, the AAVSO. So Tom Calderwood down in Oregon got a hold of me and asked if we wanted to participate in a bright star survey. Now, this is quite interesting. Most photometry is done with cameras nowadays, but there's a certain type of variable star. There's a variable star prototype called Alpha Cygni, and you didn't hear me wrong, as in Deneb, okay? So apparently, Deneb is a variable star. Apparently, there are other stars like Rigel, which fit in this type, and they're known as irregulars, which means that when they dim and they brighten, they do it in an irregular way. Most of the time when a variable kind of changes, it changes in a very smooth curve and then comes back. But these ones don't. So you might ask, well, why do we want to monitor these things? Particularly in this special way, because Tom said, well, we want you to use this analog photometer, right? So, and he said, well, we can send you one. And then when he told me what it was, I realized we actually have one. So the center actually has one. It's called an SPP3, and it is the most retro thing you can imagine. It has an LED display, and you just stick it into a telescope, and it gives you a display of numbers which have to do with the magnitude of the star that you have sighted on it. So it wasn't in very good condition. So I spent the first couple of weeks just restoring it. I had to fix a few things in it, but I would say it's pretty close to being ready to be commissioned again. Once again, it's 1980s. It's a very, very old instrument. Now, Reg and I actually had it out at the VCO during the summer, and we had it. I don't know if I have any pictures readily available, but anyways, we're going to be using it to do citizen science. So I just wanted to let people know that. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about was we're going to have a second beginners SIG. Normally, the beginners special interest groups are the first Tuesday of every month. But because we're waiting for a lot of people to come back on holidays, I'm going to have one tomorrow night. So if anybody's interested that's new, please come and join us. Let me know. I'm David at victoria.rasc.ca. Let me know and I'll send you a link. So it'll be 7:30 tomorrow night. And that's it.
Fantastic. Okay. We're going to change the style of the proceedings now. We'll go a bit more formal with a talk that I am really delighted to show off. It came up last year during an Astro Cafe, probably something Natasha said. It's usually something Natasha said about the green flash, but what really has provoked this talk was I was in Ucluelet a couple of weeks ago, and looking out over the ocean, you see that little green thing? It was amazing. And it started me down the rabbit hole of figuring out what the green flash is and what it takes to see it. So here we go.
Can you tell us about that picture? How?
Oh, I'll
You will.
a lot. Oh, yes. So green flash has been known for a long time, and but it's a very elusive thing. And so there's several reports of it in the 19th century, and then in 1882, Jules Verne actually wrote a whole book, a novel based on the green flash, Le Rayon Vert. And I put out a spoiler, like this is the climax, but it's not much of a spoiler since the cover of the book has a picture of that scene where the sun is setting and all of these people are looking at the green flash because this fine lady here said that she wasn't going to marry until she's seen it. She read it in the newspaper and she figured this is a way to get them off her back. Anyway, when it actually came, well, let me read this. The sun was just halfway below the horizon and its powerful rays were shot across the sky like gold arrows. In the distance, the cliffs of Mull and summit of Benmore, they were in Scotland. Why did they go to Scotland? Anyway, were bathed in brilliant purple light. At last, only a faint rim of gold skimmed the surface of the sea. The green ray! The green ray! Cried in one breath the brothers, Dame Bess and Partridge, whose eyes for 1 second had reveled in the incomparable tint of liquid jade. Oliver and Helena alone had missed the phenomenon which had at last appeared after so many fruitless observations. Just as the sun was shooting its last rays into space, their eyes met, and all else was forgotten in that glance. But Helena had caught the black ray shining from the young man's eyes, and Oliver the blue ray beaming from hers. The sun had gone down, and neither Oliver nor Helena had seen the green ray. Anyway, took 300 pages to get to this scene. But it's very, very accurate. So let's talk a bit about it. And, you know, we were talking last in the autumn. I know it came up during Astro Cafe, and we were saying maybe it was the light coming through the splashes of the waves or something like that. Anyway, the fact is, although it is difficult to see, and I think Dave Payne is the only person who said he's seen it multiple times.
Me too.
Well, no, lots of people have seen it, but have you seen it more than half a dozen times?
Probably.
Okay.
I've seen it twice.
Twice. My carpool mate 3 times. You know, lots of people can name every time they've seen it. Anyway, it is very well understood. It is not a mystery, but it is difficult. So it is a combination of 4 things, and I'm going to go through them now. Okay? So, dispersion. When light goes through a transparent medium, almost always the speed of light is a function of the wavelength or the color. And by changing the speed, it means when the light hits at an angle, it's going to come out at a different angle, and it breaks into the spectrum. This is Isaac Newton's great experiment, and where he realized that white light was the combination of all the colors of the spectrum, and the atmosphere does it too. So now this diagram is backwards from the last one. Now the white light is on the right, but your eye is on the left, or if you look through the atmosphere, it's like this. And so the first thing is when you look at the horizon and the sun is at the horizon, the sun is actually about half a degree down, a whole solar diameter below. If the Earth didn't have an atmosphere, sunset would be earlier than than when the sun sets below the horizon, which is pretty freaky. But also, it's different depending on the wavelength. It's blue at the top, red at the bottom. And it's not just the sun. This is a picture of Brock's. And so this must have been one of your earlier ones. I can see that it's from this guy, Brock. But is this actually one of the pictures that you would have used to produce this once you stacked it? Or did you have your fancy corrector back then to do these?
That would have been early. I think all those pictures were taken once I actually had bought a few other things. That was probably the one taken with a DSLR, and then I got a planetary camera and the dispersion corrector later that fall. So
Okay.
I think the pictures down below are all taken with better equipment than that fuzzy distorted one.
Well, the fuzzy distorted one does show the effect, though. You have the blue at the top, the red at the bottom, and that was not because of chromatic aberration in your telescope. I'm sure you had a good achromat or something that made sure that you did not have this from your own optics. This is the Saturn being lowish in the atmosphere and getting the dispersion just from the speed of light being different, slower for the blues than for the reds. Okay? Now, I feel very uncomfortable about this slide. I think there's more to it, but you know, this is what this this particular website said, and so I give you this citation. The idea is correct. I just think that it's a bit fast and loose. But the index of refraction, when we talk about telescopes, and you know, glass has an index of refraction of something like 1.5, And so we usually say air has the same index of refraction as a vacuum, 1, when in fact it is 1.0003, okay? And you have to go 2 more decimal places before you see the difference between the index of refraction between red and blue. Like they're damn close to 1. And the difference is very, very, very tiny. And the effect of that is that the difference between seeing the red and the blue would be only 20 arc seconds. That's not a lot. Now, I keep in my talks showing this diagram. It's fantastic, saying that as your aperture, your telescope gets bigger, then your resolution gets better. So, but it depends on the wavelength that you're looking at. And focusing in on this little area down here, if your eye is fully dark adapted, so you have a 9mm pupil, then your angular resolution, in theory, should be around that 20 arc seconds. Okay, that's what in the previous slide we said was how much difference there is between red and blue. Okay, but you're looking at the sun when you're looking at the green flash. So you're more down at a small pupil, say 2mm. And so we're looking at like an arc minute. There's 60 arc seconds, that blue line, or even more. So we don't have the resolution to see the green flash if it were just a case of the dispersion of the atmosphere. And I was looking at the moon just a couple of days ago, naked eye. What were the smallest features I could see? And you can easily see things like the Mare Nectaris, and I looked it up. It's about 300 kilometers wide, and you work that out. That's 4 arc minutes. Okay, so I can see things. Well, I don't know where I was, but somewhere around 4 arc minutes. I could easily see things on the moon, which is pretty bright. Your eye is not going to be fully dark adapted when looking at a full moon. But I'm certainly not seeing things below an arc minute, not even close. So it's very important when we talk about the green flash. And one of the reasons it's elusive is while diffraction is there, it's very small. Okay, next. Why is it a green flash and not a blue flash? Well, it's because of something called Rayleigh scattering. Between the sun and your eye, as well as clear air, there are particles. Okay, aerosols, all sorts of things. And the thing is, this is, lambda is usually the symbol used for the wavelength of light. And remember that red light has long wavelength, blue light has a short wavelength, but it goes and interacts with particles in the air. You don't have to look at all the equations. The important thing is that the short wavelength interacts with particles and scatters more than the red light. And for people who like the equations, while dispersion is about linear with the wavelength, the scattering goes as the 4th power. So they're different. And what happens is when you look straight at the sun when the sun is high, then the blue light is preferentially getting scattered. And then later on it scatters somewhere else. And so when we look at the sky, it's mostly blue, right? Whereas when you look at the sun, when it's down at the horizon, it looks red. It makes a red sunset because the blue doesn't survive coming straight at your eye. Okay, do you see? This is during daytime, this is at sunset. So what's happening with the green flash is the blue is getting separated from the red, the green not so much, but the blue is going to be preferentially scattered and taken out of the path. And what's left is the green. Okay. So let's just talk a bit more about Rayleigh scattering. It's really important. Part of the reason they spent $1 billion building that huge Webb telescope is so that it could see infrared light. And it's with that, it's not just that it's a larger telescope that gives it its higher resolution, it's also that it is getting less scattering. So this is the same field of view, and invisible light, the Hubble, is seeing a lot of dust, but you're seeing through it with the James Webb telescope. And there's many, many examples of this where you're just not getting that obscuring by dust because the longer wavelength is not as badly affected. This was just last week when there was a lot of smoke in the sky, and a friend said, "Have you looked at the moon tonight?" And I said, "Not yet." And she said, "Go now." And I did, and then I had to call everybody in the house to look at it. It was crazy that night.
It's beautiful.
Did other people see it? This was Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday last.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Rayleigh scattering. That is the blue getting scattered because of all the smoke, and what's left coming through is the red. Anyway, so here it's kind of comes together. The colors are split, but the blue doesn't make it to you. And so you see that little bit of green. Does that make sense? Okay, chapter 3. Oh, going back, just saying, remember, 20 arc seconds, not big enough. So for that, you need mirages. And there are two main classes of mirages. In any case, it always comes from bending the light because of the thermal structure of the atmosphere. In the case of that hot summer road, the tarmac is getting bathed with sunlight and it heats the air just above it, and that bends the light such that it looks like you're looking at the sky. Well, you are looking at the sky. The sky is reflecting not off water on the road, it's reflecting off that layer of hot air or low density air, which bends the light. Okay? And here's another very typical example where you often, if you take a look out, I guess to the west from the Victoria waterfront, you often see the islands look like they're floating. And that's because the water has been soaking in heat from the sun all day. And so the air just on top of the water is a little bit hotter than above it. And you get this sort of floating effect. Okay? So you can see that if all of the sun is below the horizon, except just the very, very top, which is green, it's going to get widened. It's going to get bigger because of that reflection. So that, and I read one website that said that 2/3 of green flashes that are seen are inferior mirages. I don't know how you do statistics on this, but there you go. Okay, and this is what it would look like. So if you see a green flash right at the horizon, that's because dispersion, scattering, and an inferior mirage. Okay, so Dave, you say that you see it often from your place in Hawaii. Does it look like this, or is it the bubbly sort of sun and a bit of green above it, like I saw in Ucluelet?
It looks like this picture, except it's not even as sharp as that. I mean, it only is a second, but you do see.
Yeah, it's only a second.
Yeah, but the one thing I was told, and it's borne out for me, is the sun has to be setting over water.
Well, because the mirage is more common. They
Yeah.
have pictures up in the Atacama Desert, for example. You can get it whenever you have that temperature inversion going on. You can get it, but the easiest way to do it is with the water.
Yeah.
And that's why Victoria is really lousy for green flash, because we're surrounded by hills and mountains.
Well, I've always seen it only in Hawaii is the only place I've seen it.
Right. I'm going to do a gallery from all over the world at the end. But if you see it like this, where it's just a bit of green over the horizon, that's the inferior mirage. Now, there is also when the water is colder than the air above, then sometimes you get this transition there where you've got the cold air, and then over, just a few meters, there's this transition to the warmer air above. And in that, they call it a channel, but you can get weird things. So this was just off Clover Point, just near my house here in Victoria. And you can see as I walked up and down the hill taking these pictures of this ship. This is all the same ship. It was really freaky. And especially when it was here, it was actually like fluttering. It was so strange. But you see this, when the channel caught this black layer of the ship, it got expanded. And that's exactly the sort of thing that's going to make the green flash nice and big. So this fellow, what's his name? Andrew Young, I think is the ATY, has an excellent website of atmospheric optics. And this is highly vertically exaggerated. These numbers here are arc minutes above or below the horizon. And in this particular model, the observer is 54 meters above sea level. And there is this duct, this change in temperature and therefore density, atmospheric density, between 45 and 60 meters. So the observer is actually inside the duct. And as you go from 10 arc minutes below horizon, you see right side up, and then you're going to see upside down, and then right side up. Okay? So when you see here, let's choose this one. Here the ship is right side up, and here you see that bow that it's upside down, and then it's right side up again. Isn't that cool? Isn't that remarkable? Here it is, right side up, upside down, right side up. That black line there is in reality the same line as this one, except it's right side up, upside down, right side up. That is typical. Although it can get much more complicated because the atmosphere is never just perfectly stratified. It's not perfectly horizontal. There's currents of air and things. And so you can get weird things like I had during this picture where it was fluttering. Okay. Oh, look at that. I put it in again. So chapter 4, human perception. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. This is more for Dorothy someday. But we have these 3 cones in our eyes with highly overlapping sensitivity. It's not nearly as cleverly put together as a camera, which has these 3 separate colors, but it doesn't matter. Our brains are really clever, but they see a lot of green. And you have to separate out visual stimulus. So what is the physics going on? And color sensation, which is what our brain is interpreting. Having gone through all of that physics and chemistry and biology, then we have to go and start interpreting it. And one of the people I read said it's like comparing apples and pears. They're related, but they're not the same thing. And then to make things worse, the time domain. When you look at the red sun, your red cones get saturated and what's left is green. And then finally, when you take pictures of it, you're looking at a completely different thing. You're looking at how the technology did the analyzing the visual stimulus, and then we display it, and then we have to interpret it from there. And there's no way that I can tell you what it is that I say that's green and that's yellow, but I know that that's green and I know that's yellow. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, but the eye sees a lot of green. And so when the blue is gone, what do you next see? You see green. That's why it's mostly a green flash. Okay, I'm just going to finish off. Okay, oh, that's right. This is 30 seconds of photos. And, I was taking pictures because the sun was doing all this freaky stuff. There's that superior mirage, right side up, upside down, right side up. And then it's going down into the horizon. And then somewhere between 39 seconds after the minute and 9 seconds later, then I said, wow, there's the green flash. And it was almost as big as this. It was just much thinner, but I didn't hit the button at the right time. So you just get to see this tiny one. But there was a little moment in there that we were 5 on the balcony looking at it, and we all, there was no question. That was my first time seeing the green flash, and it was remarkable. And so this whole thing is 31 seconds. And so when you just see it like this, it looks really weird when you only see that little green up there. But when you see that it is that superior mirage that's getting smaller and smaller as the sun is setting, it makes more sense. And then the next night, I tried to take pictures with my camera, but I got my exposure awful. But my buddy David Welch did a much better job. So these pictures are only 3 seconds apart. And here it is clearly yellow, and here it's clearly green. It's pretty spectacular. It's not a long event.
I was gonna say, how much, like you said, what, how many?
A second or two.
That's it.
Maybe.
At the most.
Yeah.
So you have to be really right on it.
You have to be on it, and it doesn't happen all the time. This was 2 nights in a row. But, it was very similar weather those 2 days. And it was the cold ocean, the warm air on top, and that transition zone. And probably we were at a balcony where we just happened to be at the right height to catch it really well.
Randy, you talk about this as dispersion. Is that the same as refraction through the atmosphere?
Differential refraction as a function of wavelength. Okay, so you can have refraction without dispersion, otherwise your achromatic telescope wouldn't work. Okay, now they do some really fancy stuff with different sorts of glass with different dispersions, and they have either the couplet or the triplet of lenses working against each other so that it flattens out the dispersion. It's very tricky, it's very expensive, which is why you spend money on your telescope and it's not $50, is because of chromatic aberration. But you still are using the refraction or you won't get any magnification in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the differential refraction is called dispersion. And it's in everything. You cannot, there's no medium that has 0 dispersion, but there are some that are more and some that are less. And so if you want a prism for doing spectroscopy, you want to have a very high dispersion medium. And for lenses, you want a very low dispersion medium. Okay. Now, I'm just going to close with a few pictures that I picked off. This is one that shows a double flash, and it's because the atmosphere has a couple of channels going on. Why not? I love it when somebody takes a great picture and gets photobombed. So this one is with some birds. Here's one with a plane coming through. That was fortunate. One of the things in Jules Verne's book was they were getting all ready to see the green flash, and just when it's going to happen, a sailboat went by and they missed it.
Whoa.
Anyway,
That day.
yeah, and she didn't have to get married then. See?
Oh.
And this is the last picture, just showing that you can get a blue flash when the air is extremely clear. And I've seen some people say that you'll never see it naked eye, you'll only see it with a telescope. And some people say that they've seen the blue tinge. Anyway, that is the green flash or the green ray.
And typically it has to be pretty stable atmosphere.
Yeah. Has to be a stable. Yeah, if you want to increase your chance, you have to get Dave Payne to invite you to his place in Hawaii, because that's perfect. He's got a good view over the water, very clear air. You're a certain height above the water, I imagine.
Yeah.
Dave, how far are you above the water? No, you're still muted.
Not right on the shore, but you know, I usually see it at ground level when I'm looking at the sunset.
Okay. I mean, you can see it at ground level. They do say that your chances are better if you're up a certain height.
Yeah.
On the beach. Yeah. Okay.
No, not right on the beach, just off the beach.
10 feet up. Kind of.
Yeah. 10, 20 feet.
I saw it right in the Honolulu harbor, and we were watching the sun go down, and then we get this intense green flash, and a second and a half later, a humpback whale jumped right between us and the flash.
Oh, wow.
It was just stunning.
You should get married.
It was stunning.
Well, I want to add a bit to the story. As often as I've tried to see the green flash over water, I never have. I've only ever seen it from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, okay.
And it typically isn't just a flash. It lasts seconds up to more than 10 seconds.
No, really?
Yes. And it's usually well, of the times that I've seen it, it's just the top edge of the sun. But a couple of times it's been kind of more like an amorphous blob, which implies the inferior mirage that you're talking about.
Well, again, that is the more common thing, especially in Saskatchewan.
Those are the longer lasting ones.
And this in Saskatchewan, you've got the sun heating the ground. You're not going to have the ground cooler than the air.
No, right at sunset, the ground, of course, cools quite rapidly. So the planetary boundary layer develops in such a way that the warmer layer of air is a few meters, a couple of 20 meters above the ground.
Okay, I'm going to show the picture that Joe just posted. Pretty beautiful.
Well, that's a good one.
From Mexico. Yeah. Oh, the evening before eclipse day. Awesome. You probably were pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I saw that.
I took it as a good omen. I think we all did, right?
Wow, that very auspicious. Okay.
I should mention that the reason it's longer in Saskatchewan than it would be in Hawaii is, of course, the sun is approaching sunset at a much shallower angle. So it takes a lot longer to go below the horizon. So there's a lengthier period of time.
That's right. That would make sense. Like if you did it at the Arctic Circle, you might have it last for an hour.
Yes, it could last a long time if
that makes perfect sense, Les. That's really clever. Okay.
Before you go on,
yeah.
Just a question of your remarkable sequence of crater images. You said that you changed your elevation. Did you walk down the hill at Clover Point or what?
Yeah. I was up and down Clover Point.
So that would be a distance, a vertical distance of about what,
20 meters?
100 feet or 50 feet.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Great. Interesting.
No, it's one of those things that when I see, I've done that experiment a couple of times, but that was the best. Okay. So time to change to another thing. Let us go with David Prudon. Let's talk about your telescope.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we moved here from Alberta, where of course there were absolutely fabulous skies. We have lots of staging area that was super for observing. And then I moved here, and two things, of course, we're in almost a little bit of a bowl here. And as I'm getting older, that sucker is a little bit heavy. The tripod is about 38 pounds, and the upper assembly, the tube assembly with the fork, is about 45. And as you can sort of see, and I'll walk back there a little bit towards it. In order to mount it, there's a bolt here, and it has to be lifted up and slid into that position, which makes it very difficult when you get older. So it's a little awkward to use. And since I'm on a lower level and pretty well surrounded by trees down here, the only place I could use it would be one level up, and that would mean also carting it up the stairs. So I've decided to let this one go. And what I'm doing is looking for a good home for it. So what it has, of course, it's got the tripod, it's got the fork assembly, and it's got a motor in it. The previous owner had put on a little electric box here, so that for cold weather, which doesn't apply here as much, but in Edmonton, when we were out in 10 and 15 below zero, you could heat your Telrad. It had little heaters that you could put around your lenses and around the main part of the scope. They had also made for it a U-shield, which is sort of large enough that it fits over the end and then protects it from dew. It's got, actually there's only one finder scope, I said two, but there's only the 8x50. There's an 8x50 finder scope on it, as well as a Telrad. And that's the whole picture. And as I say, mainly what I'm doing is looking for a good home for it. Price is sort of negotiable or whatever, but I'm just actually was hoping that there'd be somebody who might be able to get some good use out of it, because as I said, for me, that got me my Messier certificate. So it's a pretty nice scope.
Brock, is that your hand up? Oh, there's a hand over your face on the screen. I don't know what that means. It's not my mouse. Oh, it's this mouse. Oh, I have two mice here. And so there's a hand right over, and I was thinking, oh boy, did we get a sale right away? But it's a tricky one because it's a way of life. It's not just a sale.
Yeah, and basically I'm looking at sort of finding a good home for it primarily. And the only difficulty, of course, is it's up here in Qualicum Beach.
Yeah, well, that's not a problem.
No, exactly. But if anybody's interested in it, just let me know. My email address is on the website. Joe has posted that for us. So if you happen to have an interest in this, please give me a shout.
And it does bring up a kind of touchy issue that there are several telescopes that have been donated to the club. And then there are also several people who have said that they are getting ready to get rid of their telescopes. And in other words, it's a really good time. If you want a major telescope, there are several which are on the market or ready to find a new home. And so highly recommended that you talk to the various people in the society. And I think there is going to be maybe an attempt to sell on the Canadian Astro market or things like that. There's a whole bunch of things in the club. Do you want to talk to that a bit, David?
Yeah,
sorry, David Lee.
Yeah, I guess I could. We have a storage problem. That's basically the problem that we have. And I know people are very generous in terms of their donations, but I think it's going to be very difficult for us to keep everything. I've sort of been toying with the idea of maybe a category called legacy, where there's a historical reason why we might keep something. For instance, the ray scope that's in the center of the universe, we probably will never get rid of that. But then there are some where there have not been any conditions under which they've sort of given us the equipment, where I guess the best thing to do would be to find a good home for it. And I think that's what David is doing, is trying to do as well. Like
Yeah.
we all don't want to abandon, our friends, our telescope friends, and we would like to see them go to a good home. So there's various avenues. I know there's a bunch of scopes which are kind of like feature scopes, like they're not cheap instruments, and we would like to see them go to a good home. So I'm not sure exactly what those avenues are going to be. Uh, and there's certainly some scopes which need TLC, and that's not a deterrent necessarily for people. I think we would just advertise them as such. And if there are things that require repair or restoration, then we would just say so. Down to the point where there may be equipment that is not really usable, and we would maybe, I don't know, fragment the pieces and maybe offer up things like the tripod perhaps and things like that. So we're just in the process of doing that. I did ask for a team of people to sort of evaluate things, and I do have that, and that's great. But I think soon we will need to sort of categorize some of these things. But Randy, you're quite right. I mean, there are people like we haven't stopped the flow of offerings. So I think once we get maybe a policy in place where we decide what type of offering we have, then maybe there will be avenues. There's actually some scopes that we've actually talked about, which probably belong in a school or something like that. I mean, they
Yeah.
probably don't belong with an individual. So, yeah, there's various things. I guess the demographic is such that we're not going to see less of these things. We're going to see more of them.
Yep, that is the demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
Very gently put.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, I would like now to see some people's images. So why don't we start with Peter Norman? Is he not here anymore? We scared him away.
I think Peter.
Oh, well.
I don't see Peter anymore. He said that he sent some to you though, right?
Yeah, he did, but I'll let him display it next time.
Okay.
Okay, so who else? Did Ben, did you say you had some?
Well, I don't have any pictures, but I was just the other day I was looking through. You've probably seen it. I'm sure some of you may have already seen the article, but it's in YAM, the lifestyle magazine for Victoria. So we have an ally. So this is the current issue, like that. Sorry about the model on the front; it's not my cup of tea. But more importantly, they have an entire thing on here on dark skies, sacred skies.
Oh.
So it's a couple-page article, and the interviewer went out to the First Nations folks out in Bamfield, and they talked about the importance of dark skies to their culture. So that we have an ally in our mission to get a dark skies. In fact, they actually mentioned the Royal Society because they want to get their area out in Bamfield certified as a dark sky preserve. So this magazine is available like anywhere you go.
What's the name of the magazine?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You'll just see it at the front of many stores. So it's mostly on lifestyle. This is like the fashion lifestyle, but it happens to have this article on there about sacred skies. And there's one little note on here that I thought was really important, where the her guide there talked about the importance of the cosmos to their culture, and they said in the ancient village there, the big house was actually built in relation so that it lined up with three of the stars of what we now call the Big Dipper. So I found that to be a interesting little tidbit. So it's just neat. And then there's a whole whack of, apparently they do a lot of dark stargazing. Native folks will give you tours on their land of what the dark skies mean to them. So I just thought it was neat that we have we're getting that kind of publicity in the general public, and that there's other people concerned about this, not just this society.
Bill, is this?
That
Sorry.
was the event that Kirsten and I went to.
Yeah, go ahead, whoever, Bill.
On the screen, I'm beside you on my screen. Yeah, Kirsten and I went to that. So they're kind of in a holding pattern right now around all that.
Okay.
I tried to hook up with them. I was there about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
But the weather wasn't good. So the event that we had planned on the beach at Chena Bay never happened. But,
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So you still haven't
they
actually
do
seen
mention
the
that
sky with them.
an event didn't happen, so you were there for that. So that's cool.
Well, you were there about a year ago, weren't you, Bill?
Yeah, that was
That's what we're talking about.
That's what the article is about, what we went to a year ago.
Yeah, and where did the
But
picture
I was there a few weeks, about a month and a half ago in July, and had been contacting them to. They put it. It was funny because I contacted one person and never heard back, but I wasn't surprised because it just is. And then I contacted another person, and he put it on their Facebook page, the Hawaii Nation's first Facebook page. So then during the day, one day, I was out on the beach and I had my solar stuff out there. And it was clear enough in the day to do stuff. It just didn't work at night. And it was very funny because people said, yeah, there's supposed to be something happening here tonight. And I said, well, that would be me. But I don't think it's going to happen because the weather's closing in. So, because people that
where
go
the pictures
camping,
came from.
Pardon?
I'm wondering where the pictures came from for this article.
Which pictures?
Well, the
article.
There's some background pictures, I guess, of the night sky, maybe.
I don't know where they got those from.
Well, it is clear up there some days.
When we were there, it was foggy the whole time.
Or is it one of the independent photographers who pop up with Astrophotos when there's an event?
Or they could even be stock photos. It's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
I bet you it's stock photos.
Yeah.
Brock. And is it Brian? You've got pictures. Yeah. So let's start with Brian Chappell, and then Brock Johnson.
Oh, I don't actually have any pictures. All I've photographed so far is Salt Spring Island, but as the week progressed, I was just looking at the weather over here. Maybe next time.
Brock.
Okay. Let me share this. It's been sort of a long dry spell for me, but I finally, having a bit more time on my hands, I'm getting some stuff
oh boy
back. So this is NGC 6914 with 20 hours of exposure time.
Does it have a colloquial name, Brock?
I don't know of one.
Okay.
But it's in Cygnus. But it's nice sort of combination of reflection nebula and dark nebula, and also some hydrogen emissions.
Whereabouts in Cygnus is it?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it pictured clearly in my head.
Okay.
And
nice.
I also did the Ghost Nebula,
Wow.
I have about 12 hours on that one.
That's
And that's a good fall one to have before Halloween. It's a bit early, but it's kind of got a spooky look to it. And then I did, because I took the solar telescope to the Saanich Fair from the center, I had it at home for a day or two before I returned it after on my way home from work. And I did, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but what I did was within minutes, I did a hydrogen alpha shot of the sun and just a white filter shot of the sun. And then I scaled them using the sunspots. I aligned and scaled them so that the sunspots basically lined up and scaled so that they were right on top of each other. And then I kind of created this kind of split so that you'd see the difference between the hydrogen alpha and the white.
Nice.
And
I remember that configuration at the Saanich Fair, Brock.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting set of sunspots. They were almost connected by a set of island sunspots that
Yep.
went from larger to the middle-sized one.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
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 Can you keep blowing up? Can we see closer?
Sure. The interesting thing is you can see how much larger the hydrogen alpha version is. Like there's definitely a difference in the size.
Oh wow, that's real.
Yeah, that's real
Oh, yeah.
because I'd seen this before and I wanted to both sort of determine how real it is and also try to reproduce it. So that was why I scaled and aligned everything based on the sunspots.
Yeah.
But then when you actually look at the diameter, it's actually slightly larger for the hydrogen region,
Yeah,
which
and
makes sense because that's
yeah, you also see
further out and hotter.
you see the limb darkening in both versions, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. So
I don't know that's obvious.
What, the limb darkening?
I thought the limit of the photosphere is where the ions, the plasma combines into, neutral atoms, and that would be in the same place regardless of the frequency of the wavelength.
my understanding is you don't get the hydrogen alpha emissions until you're above 10,000 Kelvin. It's sort of 10 to 30,000 Kelvin is the temperature that you start to get the hydrogen
wow.
alpha. And the photosphere is only 6,000, right?
So Brock, you registered and you registered it against each other on the
Yes.
spots, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to do some automated stuff, but I couldn't. I had to just in the end just use layers and moving it around and scaling it and moving it.
Oh,
and
you
scaling it.
did it by hand, in other words.
I did it by hand, yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda,
yeah.
I was hoping I could come up with some fancy automatic thing, but
Mm.
I kind of gave up. But anyways, I
Brock,
thought it was kind
Oh,
of fun.
nice.
that is really amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's all I got.
hmm How did you do the white solar? Just with your other scope, or?
Yeah, with my 400 my ASCAR, I bought one of those little Mylar cap things.
Okay.
Way to go, Brock. Those are fantastic images.
Yeah, very nice.
Thanks.
You want to do a Astro Cafe on that someday?
What, on the sun?
On those pictures and what they mean. It's amazing. Anyway, I want to see the idea. So yeah, let's talk a bit about Astro Cafe.
Oh, by the way, I have a couple of images to show here.
Please go ahead, Chris.
Sorry about that.
No, hey, that's what we're here for.
Oh, these are unusual things that just fell into my lap. These are not my images, but some of the longer term members will remember one of our members, and I don't think she's a member still, but she's still around. Judith Carter, and I know she's very good friends with Jim and Betty and all that, and was a member for a long time, worked at the observatory. Now, she is a very good friend of my wife's family, and her sister, I'm talking about Mary Claire Carter.
Oh, now I know who you're talking about.
But her sister Judith happens to be in South Africa right now, and sent me an email, which I will share with you. And she's never taken an astro photo that I know of in her life. But anyway, these are from the other night.
Oh,
There was a lunar eclipse.
right.
Um,
That we didn't get to see.
that we didn't get to see. But anyway, and I got this the other night, and oh well, not not that not that exciting, but there's something. Um, so
Yeah. 85% of the world's population could see at least part of that eclipse, but not us. We're in the 15.
And I wasn't so that
Privileged.
You were there?
Yeah, it was not out of nowhere.
Why are there two? What are the two objects we're seeing? I don't understand.
They're both the moon.
Two pictures.
They're
Yeah,
two
they're
pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're slightly different exposures. I mean, you can see the eclipsing going on in the bottom.
Yeah. Now, just a minute. Where did my Zoom go? Okay. And yeah. There's actually a couple of others, so I'll show you those. Just a second. Just a second. There we go. Okay. So anyway, just this was going on even though we didn't get to share in it. So anyway, okay. That's what I have to show you.
Chris, do you have any space news? Or are you gonna
Well,
save that for Wednesday night?
I'm going to talk about it on Wednesday night, but I've got a couple of goodies to show, but a lot of it is still kind of some of the shall we say dreary political news we've been getting out of Washington.
None of that today.
And,
None of that Wednesday either.
well, I'm afraid so because it's relevant to what's going to be going on, and it's not going to be a big political speech, but it's stuff that's happening. But anyway, but and actually that it's not going to take that long because in some ways things haven't changed that much since the spring, but they could in the next few weeks. So maybe I'll just leave it there.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about the Astro Cafe. And so we're every Monday night, not on the 13th, not between Christmas and New Year's. I'm really wondering about the 22nd. That probably is not a date to have. We're filling up our hosts, which is pretty good. Still looking for somebody for September 29. Let me just tell everybody here, it is not an onerous job. You just have to pay attention to who has things to say and make sure that things keep moving. You can or cannot give a talk as you wish. So the tech, I mean, it appears that Alex and I are both here most Mondays, so it's not a huge thing, but Kevin has said that he will also be here. But people who actually come in, it would be very nice to just know that there's some extra help here. And as always, we have to thank Joe, who doesn't just put the things on the site, but he also makes a table of contents and things. And I'm thinking that this was actually left over from last year's thing. I don't know that you've committed to doing it, and you often travel somewhere, but we have to talk about how we're going to continue Zoom recording, and especially substituting for Joe when he does his amazing trips. I figured that November 24th, we should book for our telescope buy and sell that will be in this room. So gather up your books and cameras and mounts and telescopes and things, and we'll have a nice party in time that you can do your shopping for the Christmas holiday, or you can sneak in shopping for yourself before it gets crazy with Christmas. We're always looking for content. So what does content mean? Anything you like. This is our game. We are here for fun. So if you have any Astro news, if you have any Astro pictures, if you have some event to advertise, or if you have a topic that you're keen on, I usually will do one each night. That's because that's what I like to do. It's my hobby. But if you're tired of what I'm doing, tell me. If you have topics that you want me to do, tell me. I'm very open. I've just got this new book. What's it called? It is called The History of Our Universe in 21 Stars by Giles Sparrow. Anyway, what he did is he's gone through a whole introductory course in astronomy, but it's focused on stars that you can look at. Like the first chapter is about Polaris, and it talks about the motion of the stars around the celestial sky. It's totally entertaining me, and so it's going to give me some topics when other things don't come up, like the green flash. Now, I have not done a Skynews publication since May, and I feel a little bit bad about it. On the other hand, this is volunteer, and I'm supposed to be having fun, right? So it would be wonderful. The History of Our Universe in 21 Stars. That is an answer to who was it who put the question out to Peter. Yeah, we can put it in the notes. I propose that instead of doing a publication at the beginning of the month, I will put in the in our RASC. Is this going to go to the right place? No, that goes to the dashboard. That's not what I want. I just want to go to our main page. I will put out the calendar like before, so that Joe found this lovely icon for it. So this is basically the same as the sort of calendar that I've been putting every month in the newsletter with our own events and some history and things that are happening in the sky. So that is going to be with this icon in our website, and we'll keep being updated. But I'm kind of thinking of putting together bits from these talks that I prepare anyway, and gathering them together into what will become a kind of Star News, unless we can find a new editor, which would be also awesome. If anybody is interested in this venerable institution, edition 456 or something like that. It's been around for many, many years. Anyway, this is a topic of discussion. I'm very interested to know what the community wants, but I also want to say I'm not really keen on doing a monthly newsletter that nobody contributes to. People are apparently much more willing to contribute to Astro Cafe than to this. And then it's a matter of gathering a couple of graphics from what we did, few words, and a link to where it is in the Astro Cafe. That seems like something that will feed our community better. So that's the thought right now, and I'm very interested in feedback. passpres@victoria.rasc.ca. Any final words for today?
Yeah, I just have a few. Since Laurie's not here,
yes, please.
I'll mention that Nova Part 2 is starting this month on the 25th of September. I think we're almost full, so if people are
Laurie said
interested.
there was only one spot left.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. She had a few more than that last time I talked to her, but yeah, maybe there's only one more spot.
That was this afternoon.
Okay.
And then on Wednesday is the talk at the university with Dave Payne. And then on Saturday, the 13th, the star party up at the center of the universe.
Right.
And we will see you here again next week.
And I'll just mention that Astro Cafe is much better with shared cookies.
Yeah, come out.
It's true. Very true.
And coffee. Thank you, Kathy and Elaine.
It's just nice to sort of meet other people, you know.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks,